Kamai, Kuyana Taylor G. Hello, and thank you all for coming for another episode of King's Corner. This is episode 29, and as always, we stream to Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. So if you want to find us, just go to Facebook and type in the Native Village of Port Lions, and we are streaming on the Native Village of Port Lions webpage, and then also on youtube.com. Just type in Native Village of Port Lions and click on the live tab, and you'll be able to see all of our episodes. And as a reminder, I know these streams are live, but most of our viewers watch after the fact, so you can watch them at any time, and should be a great one. Also, as a note, last week we had a really great conversation with ANC on the stream, and so that's episode 28, and so go check that out when you get a chance. Really good discussion with some leaders there from ANC. So we have a great show in store for you today, so sit back, relax, and enjoy it. And we will jump right in. We will start with our Alutiiq section, and stick with me while I do some banners and some screen sharing. And as always, that takes a minute or two. But we've had the pleasure of using some of Alicia Drabeck's videos in our Alutiiq section, and she does such a great job that I wanted to continue to share some of those with you all, and so we can go through them together. But let me do a screen share, and we will get right into our Alutiiq language section. Give me 1 second, folks. Screen share. All right. So this first video is going to be talking about numbers, right, in Alutiiq. And so Alicia does a good job here of displaying the numbers in Alutiiq, and we will go through them together. So as we can see here, we have Ashringuk, Maluk, Pingayun, Stamen, Taslimen, Achwilgin, Maschungen, Ingluchen, Kulnguyen, and Kulin. Let me make sure you guys are seeing that. Okay, good. All right, so let's go ahead and play that and hear from Alicia.
Kochchinak Pinkchit.
Kochchinak Pinkchit. Kochchinak Pinkchit. How many do you have, Kochchinak?
Kulin. Kulinak Pinktwa.
Kulanak Pinktwa. I have 10.
Asinguk, Maluk, Pingayun, Stamen, Tashimen, Ahwilchen, Malchungen, Inglulchen, Kulnguyen, Kulin. Asiluk, Maluk, Pingayun, Stamen, Tashimen, Ahwilchen, Malchungen, Inglulchen, Kulnguyen, Kulin.
Adachwa.
Kochchinak
Kuyana
Pinkchit.
Chinook.
Kulin.
Alicia.
Kulinak Pinktwa. Asinguk.
Ashringuk, Maluk, Pingayun, Stamen, Taslimen, Achwilchen, Maschungen, Ingluchen, Kulnguyen, Kulin. 1 through 10. Very good. Let me move on to our next one. So once again, that is the numbers 1 through 10 in Alutiiq from Alicia. We will go to our next one. And this is a fun one. Volume. Sorry, let me make sure that's at the beginning. All right. Nutan Kochiangun. Let's go back there. Nutan Kochiangun. Kochiak. Now it is August. Nutan Kochiangun. Kochiak. Kochiak. Here we have a Kochiak. All my younger students, they had a really fun time talking about the different animals in Alutiiq, and here's one of them, Kochiak. Shukhbat abtahat alagnat ihalot. Ihalot. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, folks. Make sure this is.
Suchet abchtachat. Nutan
We got to make sure I get those switches because what I see and what you see in this case when I'm screen sharing is a little bit different. So I apologize for that. We will start it over. And now I know you can see what I'm seeing and we can be on the same page. So here we go.
Nutan kochiangon.
Nutan kochiangon.
Kochiak.
Kochiak.
Kochiak. Kochiak. Suchet abchtachat. Alaganat ichaluchat chali.
Right at the end there. Shuchat abchtachat alagnat ichaluat chali. People call it August or Salmonberry's moon too. Allah, as in if you remember, Alagnak is the root word, or Alagna is the root there, which is berries, salmon berries. And also, if you notice too, Alicia is using the Southern style, and they're both correct. They're both right. Just in different areas of the island, we had the same language, but we also had a little bit different styles in how we say things. Just like today with English, we may have somebody from the South with a Southern accent, or we may have from Texas or the deep South, Mississippi, or somewhere down there where they have a different accent. The same thing up north, Northerners in say Wisconsin or Minnesota will have a slightly different accent. And then of course the really prevalent ones in New England being Boston and New York. So it's all the same language, but we have different ways of saying things, and they're both right. She is fully correct here. She's using the Southern style, whereas normally us here use the Northern style. But they're both correct, and I would listen to her before I'd listen to me. But she's very good at this. So, shuchat abchtachat alagnat ichaluat chali. People call it August, Salmonberry's moon too. Very cool. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is a fun one.
Nacho nuknaruch kechtudenka.
Kechtutenka. Are you hungry? Kechtwa. I'm hungry. Kechtutenka.
Nacho nuknaruch shreakuk.
No, that's a tough one. Nacho
Unuchbak. Amlaskat suchet teschrit.
Amlashkat shuchat telchit poipuman. Poipu. Okay, very cool. Bravo, visitors.
Kechtudenka. Nacho nuknaruch shreakuk.
That's a tough one. Nacho unuchbak. We ate nachos tonight. Nacho that's a tough one. Like, is it unuchbak?
Amlaskat suchet teschrit.
Amlashkat shuchat telchit poipuman. Very good. All right, let's move on to one more from Alicia. Make sure you all can see it. Let me double check. Okay, good. All right. So our next one, Kwashniachtwa.
Kwashniachtwa.
Kwashniachtwa. I am making dough. Kwashniachtwa. Biliaka kwashniak. I am making dough.
Una mukak.
Una mukak.
Ukut payangjut.
Ugut payangjut. These are little pies. Ugut payangjut.
Payangtwa.
Payangtwa. We'll go back just a little bit on that one. Payangtwa. I have pies.
Twa uklinachdut.
Eklinachdut. Go back just a little. They look delicious. Eklinachduk.
Kurichimak payalich.
Kurichimak.
Kayanga. Kwashniachtwa. Kurichimak payalich kayanga.
Payalich kayanga. Kurichimak payalich kayanga. I made chicken pot pies. That's pretty cool. Let's listen to that in its entirety and without me interrupting.
Kwashniachtwa. Una mukak. Ukut payangjut. Payangtwa uklinachdut. Kurichimak payalich kayanga. Kwashniachtwa. Una mukak. Kwashniachtwa.
Kwashniachtwa. Piliaka kwashniak.
Una mukak.
Una mukak.
Ukut payangjut.
Ukut payangjut.
Payangtwa.
Payangtwa. Payangtwa.
Uklinachdut.
Eklinachdut.
Kurichimak payalich kayanga.
Kurichimak payalich lichayanga. I made chicken pot pies. Very cool. And yeah, shout out to Alicia once again. Thank you for letting us use those, Alicia. You're excellent at this. Let me double check my comments. Okay, good. Thank you, Crystal, for that. I always like to double check. Sometimes we don't always get audio coming through right away, and that happens almost routinely. It's just the nature of doing a live stream. So this isn't pre-recorded or anything like that. So it's just the nature of doing a live stream, and sometimes we have to work through it. So we work through it, we get through it, and we press on. All right, that will do it for our section on Alutiiq language. We will next move to our Alutiiq word of the week. Let's check out our Alutiiq word of the week, and this is a fun one I like. All right, so our Alutiiq word of the week I think is pertinent for this summertime, for our summertime episodes. We have sockeye salmon, pronounced niklik, niklik. Let's hear an elder say that much better than me. And then in a sentence we have niklinak kup chuna lich chigugut. Let's hear an elder say that, shall we?
Niklik, which means red salmon, or sockeye.
Sockeye, niklik.
Niklinak kup chuna lich chigugut.
Kup chuna lich chigugut.
We're going to make some smoked salmon out of red niklik, which means red salmon, or sockeye.
Niklik.
Sockeye, niklik.
There's my grandmother again, Sophie. I always get excited whenever I hear her. You folks that have seen this know that I get excited whenever I hear her name or hear her speak. It's kind of like, part of her. Well, it's definitely like part of her has lived on with us. So grateful to all the people who coordinated that from the original Alutiiq language project and got these elders involved. It's so good that we can, even now today, I mean, in my grandmother's case, several years after her passing, we can hear what she had to say and we can learn from her still. So pretty neat. All right. So Niklik, Niklinuk, Kupchunalich, Chikogut. We are going to make smoked salmon out of red salmon. And that is our Alutiiq word of the week. One more time from the OGs, from the elders.
Niklinik, Kupchunalich, Chikogut. We're going to make some smoked salmon out of reds. Niklik, which means red salmon, or sockeye.
Sockeye, Niklik.
Niklinik, Kupchunalich, Chikogut. We're going to make some smoked salmon out of reds.
Very cool. All right, that will do it for our Alutiiq word of the week, Niklik. Niklina kupchunalech chikukut. We will make smoked salmon out of red salmon, and a bunch of us folks did that this summer. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, and hopefully you got to make some, or you're able to get some from a family or friend or community member, because we made some, and it turned out great. So let's move on. That will do it for our Alutiiq section. We had videos by Alicia, and then we also had our Alutiiq word of the week. And we will move on to our next segment, which is part of our summer episodes here while the school students are in recess. And we'll look forward to having them back. But until they come back, we have added a new section, and it's called Across the Pond, as you can see on your screen here. So last time we talked about, we had Iran on here. We talked about Iran, as you guys know, is over here. We talked about the UK, and now today we are going to be, and I'm zooming this. Oh my goodness. I have to make sure you guys can see this. 1 second. Okay, now we can see Google Earth up here. And so last time, like I mentioned, we've done Iran, we've done the United Kingdom. Now we're going to talk about some fun facts here in the other Emerald Isle, Ireland. Ireland is a pretty neat place. I've been there personally. I was after I graduated high school, I took about a month, and I went and visited some family there, and got to see a lot of Ireland. Not all of it, but as you can see here, I flew actually over here from Amsterdam, and from Amsterdam we took a flight to Dublin right here. And from there, it was pretty neat. My cousin and I, shout out to Cameron there, if you're watching. He's sort of, I think he still has dual citizenship as an Irish citizen as well, or at least he did. But he spent a lot of years in Ireland, and my aunt and my cousins over there. Shout out to them too. Ireland's a beautiful country. But anyway, we started in Dublin here. And we took a train all the way down through here to this county called Wexford, and we also in sort of touring, or Cameron actually taking me around the island. We went to this small little fishing town called Duncannon, and it's right along the river here in the coast. But we also, let me see, here's Waterford right here. We went and visited Waterford. We also drove down as far south as Cork, and spent some time there. And then, of course, he let me tour Dublin, which is a really beautiful city, or at least it was when I was there. And this was, oh my goodness, this was 25 years ago, 27 years ago about now. And anyway, it was a great time. And let's get into some fun facts about Ireland. Share this tab with you all. And so we hear a lot about St. Patrick from Ireland. Well, actually, as we can see, he wasn't actually Irish. St. Patrick was born in Roman Britain around 386 AD. So it's an interesting fun fact. We credit, St. Patrick from being, for being from Ireland or being Irish, but he was actually born in Britain during the time of the Roman occupation. So interesting fun fact here. Here's another funny one: is there's an Irish festival where a wild goat is made king for 3 days. It's called Puck Fair, and it's said to be the longest running of many festivals in Ireland. In August every year, a goat is caught from the Kerry Mountains and placed in a cage in the village of Killorglin. It's crowned king, and for 3 days, a number of festivities are held throughout the town. When the festival ends, the goat is brought safely back to the mountains. So they have a goat for a king for 3 days. Interesting. All right. We also have Halloween, which originated in Ireland, which is interesting that I didn't know about. Let's see. The festival of Halloween originated in ancient Ireland. We also have Count Dracula, which is excuse me, I didn't mean to click on that. But it's we have the iconic Count Dracula, the main character of the Dracula novel. The book was written by Bram Stoker, who was born in Clontarf, one of the wealthier neighborhoods in Dublin. So it says if you're familiar with Irish mythology, you may have heard that Abhartach, also known as the Irish vampire. It's believed that some of the inspiration for Dracula came from this legend. Interesting fun fact. All right. Dublin's Rotunda is the oldest continually operating maternity hospital in the world. That's an interesting fact. And it's called, again, the Rotunda Hospital, and it's in Dublin. It's the oldest continuously operating maternity hospital on earth. The hospital opened in 1745 and has been running for 275 years, which is amazing. Also, we have Ireland's oldest pub is also one of the oldest on earth, dating back to 900 AD. Sean's Bar in Athlone Town is one of the oldest pubs in Ireland. Here's a picture of that Sean's Bar. All right. Here's another interesting fun fact. One of the lines used in the opening clips for MGM movies was "Born in Dublin." Interesting. You can see the line roaring right on the MGM intros for many MGM movies. He was born at the Dublin Zoo. And he started to appear at the beginning of movies from 1957. Oh, my goodness. The place with the longest name in Ireland is this name right here, which I won't even pronounce or won't even attempt to pronounce, is in Galway here. We also have St. Valentine's remains are in a church in Dublin. They're located on Whitefriars Street Church, where they've been since the 10th of November, 1836. Here's another fun one. And this is one, that I was kind of bummed that I didn't get to see this side of Ireland. I mean, the east side is gorgeous and beautiful, but the western territory here is also very beautiful. But it's Ireland's Wild Atlantic Way is the longest coastal driving route in the world. And look at that. We have all the way at Old Head of Kinsale, way down south here, and it follows the coastline, which is really neat, all the way up here to Mullinhead and beyond Letterkenny, and I think these towns are actually in Northern Ireland. Oh my goodness. Okay, once again, I have to make sure that you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. Let me fix that. 1 second, folks. Share screen. Okay. I'm sorry about that. So this is from the IrishRoadTrip.com, and all these fun facts that I mentioned you can find on this site. So we have St. Patrick, who was an Irish, the Irish festival with the king, the Goat King. You have Halloween origination, and then Count Dracula, Dublin's Rotunda, the maternity hospital, once again, Ireland's oldest pub. We have the MGM Lion, who was born there, the crazy name in Galway, which I won't try and pronounce. St. Valentine's remains are in a church in Dublin, as I mentioned. But then here's the Wild Atlantic Way, which I was mentioning here, and you can get a good look at it, how it follows the entire coastline from the south all the way to the north of the island. And what a road trip that would be. Beautiful sights to see and towns and culture and stuff like that. So all the way from Old Head in Kinsale up to Northern Ireland here in Mullinhead and even beyond. So if you're ever in Ireland, check out the Wild Atlantic Way. Longest coastal driving route in the world. Very cool. Also, like I mentioned at the beginning, Ireland is the Emerald Isle, along with Kodiak, and obviously it's lush green fields and its trees and everything. Its vegetation is such that it's called the Emerald Isle, along with Kodiak Island. So something we have in common there. One of the oldest lighthouses in the world is located in Wexford. The Hook Lighthouse, and I believe I've seen this one personally. I think my cousin Cameron, once again, shout out to him, took me to this lighthouse, or I at least saw it from a distance. Again, it was 27 years ago, so it's been a minute, but I think I've seen this Hook Lighthouse, which is pretty cool. All right, I want to show you guys some other fun facts, and I'm going to share this tab instead. But as we can see, here's some of Ireland's famous diverse landscapes. It's also known as, obviously, the Emerald Isle for a good reason. Let's see, in Ireland, those abundant rolling hills and abruptly at dramatic cliff tops and sea views on the Wild Atlantic Way. Elsewhere, pinnacles of rugged mountain peaks loom over sand dunes speckled with the pink of heather. Look how pretty that is, man. Gorgeous, gorgeous. This is also an interesting one that I thought would be fun to share, is the literary culture. Some of the greatest writers in English language have hailed from the island of Ireland in recent centuries. Its literary culture remains very healthy today. Consider the dandyish wit of Victorian playwright Oscar Wilde. Then there's the formidable intellectual works of literary giants like James Joyce and Samuel Beckett. More recently, the late Northern Irish poet Seamus Heaney delighted and moved audience with his Nobel Prize-winning verse. That's interesting to note that they have a very strong literary background in Ireland. As we can see here, Irish pubs, I've been to a few myself, and they are they're really interesting. It's different than a typical bar here in America, and a lot of them you can even order food and dinner. I know, or sometimes a tavern is sort of built in with a pub. And I remember going to one of these places and getting some classic Irish dishes, and meat and potatoes are always a standby there amongst others. But Irish pubs here, as it says, is an important part of their life. Just like Scotland in Scotland or wine in the Mediterranean, Irish whiskey and ales have a diverse history and a large following of connoisseurs. Yet a drink is not just a drink. Instead, it can represent an enduring part of the country's culture. Visit any pub in Ireland and you'll witness why these social spaces are such an important part of the nation's way of life. So yes, they do spend they spend a lot of time in the pubs, but again, it's a little bit different than your typical bar here in the States. Another fun one, and we'll do a couple more and then we'll wrap up. But Ireland's music is recognizable across the world. Of course, you could look out for gigs by some of the living legends of Irish and Northern Irish music, including U2, Sinead O'Connor, or Van Morrison. But the glorious thing about Irish music culture is that you don't have to go to headline acts to find exceptional talent. So, and I believe the Cranberries were from Ireland too. But interesting, they have a lively music scene as well. So, interesting fun facts about Ireland here. The history, Ireland has a long history of emigration. Perched at the edge of the Atlantic, Ireland has forever been a place from which people have set sail in search of opportunity and discovery. Remarkably, for example, Irish monks were early settlers of Iceland back in the 12th century. Very interesting. They're also known to be, as we can see here, bigger sports fans. These guys, they get serious about their sports, which includes rugby. And let's see, it says the second most popular sports are entirely homegrown. The first is Gaelic football. And then, let's see, there's another one here I was looking at. The second is hurling, an ancient Gaelic game that's, again, played with 15 players, this time controlling a ball with sticks known as hurleys. Hurling claims to be the world's oldest sport. That's probably in some kind of dispute, but interesting nonetheless. And just so if you're interested in looking at these fun facts, these ones in particular came from NordicVisitor.com. So go check out NordicVisitor.com if you're interested in some of these fun facts. And beautiful scenery. I really love the architecture over there, especially in Waterford. I remember actually being able to tour these old 18th century ships that they would build, and replicas and stuff that they would build, and fascinating and really, really neat stuff. Excuse me. Look at the wow, gorgeous shot of an old castle here. So these are some of the fun facts that I wanted to share about Ireland. It has a rich history. If you're interested, like I said, go check out NordicVisitor.com, or like I said earlier, the IrishRoadTrip.com. Both have great fun facts talking about them. And if you're planning a trip or considering Ireland, it's one that is definitely worth taking. I can speak to that personally. So check that out when you get a chance. All right, that will wrap it up for our section on Across the Pond. And I'm checking our time here. And I want to move over to current events. Let me stop sharing here. So I wanted to talk about some current events going on the island and in the village. And so for tribal news, I just wanted to mention that the election materials for the upcoming election are being mailed today. We've had employees and our administrator working on that today, and so those are being mailed out today. We have our early bird deadline for the voting is September 2nd. And then the ballot deadline is September 9th. And then it will culminate with the annual meeting being on September 12th. So that's coming up. Be mindful of those. Once again, the election materials are being mailed today. The early bird deadline is September 2nd. We have the ballot deadline, which is September 9th, and the annual meeting is on September 12th. So put those dates in your calendar if you haven't already. And just as a note, we have, apparently there are three-year term seats that are up. We have a couple people rerunning, and then we have a new person who is running, who hasn't been elected. So check that out when you get a chance. And also, for your reference, the newsletter is being sent out next week. So the Port Lions Tribe newsletter, look forward to that. That is going to be sent out next week. All right, so that is what's going on in the tribal news today and this week in recent history here. And we want to also talk a little bit briefly about the projects. Obviously, we still have the water sewer project going on in Port Lions, and those guys are making a lot of progress, thankfully, in working to get at least that first phase done. Another thing, as you all know, if you're in the village, we've had a problem lately with several bears being around the village and several bears getting into at least 3 different chicken coops. So be vigilant, be constantly aware. I think there was 5 bears in the fishing hole, above the culvert there in the last week or two. So take care if you have kids playing and running around, and also if you have chickens, be mindful and aware of that, because they still are around, and so we want everybody to be safe. So that's just a heads up with the bears. And next week, I hope the mayor will have time, the mayor of Port Lions, to visit with us again next week and join us for a discussion on what's going on with the city and the things that are going on in the village. So with that, we are at 38 here. So I normally do some more current events, and I have this section, obviously you guys know, is called This Day in History. And I really want to get some of those today before we move on. Let's do This Day in History, and let me change gears here. I'm going to screen share again. Bear with me while I change screens. All right, so here we go. All right, some are This Day in History, fun facts that have occurred in history on August 14th or on or near August 14th. And we see here, if you can see, Kublai Khan, who was a Mongol invader and part of the I think the original Genghis bloodline and dynasty. So in 1281, we have, during Kublai Khan's second Mongol invasion of Japan, his invading Chinese fleet of 3,500 vessels disappears in a typhoon near the Japanese coast. And here we have a letter from Kublai Khan to the Japanese emperor threatening him with the use of force. And we can actually look at this and see this, which I thought was fascinating. There was a couple more that I wanted to get to. Let me go back one on this. Okay. So we have 1281 with Kublai Khan's second Mongol invasion of Japan here. Now we have 1842 U.S. Army Colonel Worth declares the Second Seminole War over after nearly 7 years. Over 3,000 surviving members of the Seminole Nation are forcibly relocated from Florida to Oklahoma, with only about 300 permitted to remain. So interesting, and interesting part of our history there in 1842. Also, we have fast forwarding in history to 1945. Here's a famous picture of our J Day. The Emperor of Japan surrenders unconditionally to the Allies, ending World War II. Maybe on August 15th, depending on your time zone, but this was the end of the Second World War when Japan surrendered. And so this was a famous celebration, as we can see in the streets, of this sailor here and this lady. Fast forward to 1947, Pakistan gains independence from the United Kingdom, and the United Kingdom had so many different vassal states, different regions where they had conquered at some point in time. And interesting that Pakistan was one of them, along with places in India, in China, so many places. I think the British Empire was the most kind of spread apart empire, if you will, of all of them. And there's some big ones out there, but they covered a lot of different places. So Pakistan gains independence from the United Kingdom, 1947. All right, in 1969, we have the British Army who deploys, which is a part of the United Kingdom. We have Northern Ireland, we have Wales, and we have England, all part of Great Britain, as they call it. Scotland and Ireland are independent. And so in 1969, the British Army deployed on the streets of Northern Ireland, beginning Operation Banner. Which I just wanted to share a couple of those fun facts about this day in history. Like I said, you can see on screen here. Just look up onthisday.com and then type in your day and your month, and you can even do your year if you would like, and it will bring up a whole host of major events that happened in our history, in world history. And so it's very cool, and I love having this segment on our show to talk about that. So with that will do it for our On This Day, or this day in history, rather. And I want to hit briefly on some more local news, talking about Kodiak. Check out Davis Hovey at KMXT and Catherine Irving and the whole crew over there at KMXT. They do a great job. KMXT.org. Go check them out when you get a chance. But I just wanted to show a couple of these headlines so you can check them out more on your own if you would like. But so we have Saltry here. If you know where Saltry Cove is, outside of Kodiak, there apparently there's been beavers damming up the trail system, and so it has caused as we can see here, four-wheelers and dirt bike riders have been braving the Saltry Cove Trail this summer are faced with an unexpected obstacle. Trail users have recently faced thousands of dollars of vehicle damage, which were partly caused by the furry culprit. But apparently a solution is on the way to fix the problem. So maybe they can relocate the beavers or move them out of there and break up their dams. So interesting current event about Saltry Cove there. Okay. This is also another interesting one and pertinent one for the island. The heading is Mixed Bag of Sockeye Return as Fishing Restrictions Hit Saltry Cove. It says the Alaska Department of Fish and Game has restored the daily limit on Saltry Creek to 5 total salmon, according to an announcement posted on the 12th of August. So Sultry Cove and Sultry Creek has had a series of closures, as we can see here. In a separate announcement, restricted sport fishing to a bag limit of 2 fish per day instead of 5 on Sultry Creek also started on July 30th. Says the news comes as sockeye salmon are returning to Sultry Creek in the lowest numbers since 2020. Said the spokesperson, Geoff Spallinger, said Sultry sockeye have been regularly meeting or exceeding their escapement goal of 15 to 35,000 fish over the past several years. As a result, Department of Fish and Game started out this year with a smaller subsistence closure area. So, and here's I think what's key for the whole island. It says salmon escapement numbers across the archipelago have been a mixed bag so far this summer. The Buskin River, one of the most popular fishing spots accessible from Kodiak, closed to all sockeye fishing last month because of a poor run. The Pasagshak River, another popular road system spot, has seen just 1,358 fish come through as of July 27th, and that's pretty low compared to more than 3 times that many fish at the same time last year. So it's interesting. This Tyler Paulum, the biologist here from ADF&G, said the slow returns on Buskin, Pasagshak, and Sultry are probably the result of this year's hot and sunny summer, which makes it more difficult for salmon to travel upstream. He said a bit of rain might bump returns and restrictions on Sultry could change. Okay, now we move over to the west side of the island. In this article, it says the Ayakulik River, on the other hand, had a really strong return. Spallinger said that was one of the largest escapements we've ever seen. And then in Alatak, down south, Upper Station's early run had a strong return as well. So the fishing was overall poor, but there were a few bright spots. Also, as early run sockeye seasons wind down, fishermen have turned their attention towards pinks or humpies, returns for which were forecasted to be low this year. So overall, Spallinger said it's been a fairly weak salmon run, which was kind of what they projected. There's, although, like I mentioned, in the Ayakulik and in Alatak, they've had some decent fish running there. So I thought that was important to bring to your attention, and check it out. Once again, kmxt.org if you want to look at any of these articles. And lastly, just as a heads up, we had sort of a high-level visitor here to Kodiak. The DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen stopped in Kodiak briefly this last week, this week, Tuesday the 11th. And so we can see here, I think Dan Sullivan was able to get him to come down here, but he toured the Coast Guard base, and they made a brief speech and took some visiting comments and sort of a meet and greet, so to speak, with some Kodiak members here. And so he did discuss, which I thought was important, was the Trump administration's $25 billion investment in the Coast Guard. And he said, and this is the Senator Sullivan speaking, there's probably no community in Alaska that's going to benefit more from that $25 billion investment than Kodiak, Alaska. So hopefully we'll be able to use that, and hopefully it will benefit the island and the Coast Guard, obviously. The Coast Guard did announce previously that 2 icebreakers will be coming to Kodiak, which will bring more than 300 Coast Guard personnel to the island. And I just lost a little bit of my lighting here, but check this out on, once again, kmxt.org. The DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen, who visited here in Kodiak recently. All right, that will do it for our section of current events. We will wrap up with the weather forecast, and I will bring up Windy for you. Let's look at Windy. Let's see what Windy has to show us for the island today. And we'll obviously have Friday going through next week here. And I'll hit the play button as I describe the marine weather forecast to you all. So there's Friday, and it's going. All right, so for Marmot Bay, which you folks all know, is we get some of that weather sometimes from Shelikof. But today, Marmot, we have east wind 10 knots, seas 3, areas of fog. Tonight, east wind 10 knots, seas 3 feet, and with areas of fog. Saturday, southeast 10 knots, increasing to 15 knots in the afternoon, seas 4 feet with patchy fog. Sunday, we have that increases Saturday night to southeast 25 and seas to 8 feet. Sunday, we have southeast winds 20 knots, seas 7 feet. Monday, southwest 15 knots, seas 3 feet, and Tuesday south wind 10 knots. So it's looking like at least through Sunday, we're going to have either an easterly or a southeasterly, which is usually going to bring some precipitation with it. So for Shelikof, we have northeast 20 today. Tonight slows down to variable. Saturday, east wind 15. Sunday, southeast 25, Monday, southwest 25, and Tuesday, southwest. So probably what it's looking, if it stays, you guys all know how often it changes here. But if this current prediction holds, we'll probably have some rain and some fog throughout the throughout the weekend. And don't get me started talking about winter already. But anyway, that's what we have for our weather forecast for this next week. And let me take that off of there. There we go. All right, so that will do it for another episode of King's Corner. We hope you enjoyed it. Once again, you can fast forward, rewind, watch this at any time on YouTube and Facebook whenever you would like at your leisure. And hopefully we added some value to your day. Hopefully we brought you some interesting and pertinent information. And go ahead and check us out whenever you get a chance. All right, everybody, take care. Bye-bye. See you guys.